Tommy Lee Jones. If you're a fan of movies, you probably know him, the gruff, no-nonsense actor. He's famous for his serious roles in films like The Fugitive and Men in Black. He's always the one you can count on to play the tough guy or the silent hero. But tonight, Tommy Lee Jones is doing something a little different. Something you wouldn't expect from the man known for his stone-cold expressions. Tonight Tommy is attending a high-profile charity gala. But here's the twist. He's not there as a guest, not even close. He's disguised as a waiter. That's right. The man who has played some of Hollywood's most iconic characters is here, but no one will recognize him. No one will even know he's here at all. The venue is grand, filled with expensive chandeliers and fine dining. Rich guests mingle, laughing, talking about their businesses and their latest ventures. It's the kind of event where everyone expects to see celebrities. But not this time. Tommy's here as part of the staff, blending in with the waiters, doing what they do best, serving drinks, carrying trays, and staying out of the spotlight. But why? Why would Tommy Lee Jones, a man who could easily have his own table at this event, choose to disappear into the crowd like this? Maybe he wants to see how the other half lives. Or maybe he just wants a break from the constant attention. Tonight, he's just another face in the crowd, and no one knows. Not yet, anyway. Tommy Lee Jones stands in front of the mirror in the staff locker room, adjusting his bow tie. His reflection is almost unrecognizable. Gone is the famous actor with the piercing stare and commanding presence. In his place is a regular waiter, dressed in a black tuxedo, a crisp white shirt, and black dress shoes. The only thing that stands out about him is the faint hint of a smile playing at the corners of his lips. He looks the part. He feels the part. For once, he's not walking into a room to the flash of cameras or the hum of recognition. Instead, he's part of the team that's here to serve, to stay in the background. It's a role he's never played before, and there's something oddly liberating about it. The tuxedo fits him perfectly. He checks his appearance one last time, brushing off any imaginary dust from his shirt. The black bow tie sits neatly, and he adjusts the cuffs just right. He's been to enough fancy events to know the subtle cues of elegance. Tonight, he's got them all down. He takes a deep breath and heads out of the locker room, a tray of drinks in his hand. The gala is in full swing now, guests laughing and chatting over glasses of wine, unaware of the famous actor quietly walking among them. Tommy moves through the crowd with practiced ease, his steps measured and purposeful. He doesn't falter or hesitate. Every so often, he sees a familiar face, a face from the screen, but none of them are looking for him. No one is watching the waitstaff closely. They're all wrapped up in their own conversations, their own world. Tommy can almost hear the chatter of the guests as they talk about their latest business ventures, the movies they're seeing, but not a single one of them notices the man behind the tray. He smiles to himself. It's almost too easy. No one knows. No one suspects a thing. He's just another waiter in the sea of tuxedos and dresses. And for once Tommy is okay with that. The gala is in full swing now. Tommy Lee Jones moves smoothly through the crowd, his tray of drinks never once faltering in his hands. The guests are a mix of the rich and powerful, the kind of people who talk in half sentences about their latest deals and their most exclusive connections. Some laugh loudly, others speak in hushed tones, but all of them share one thing in common: they're too wrapped up in their own worlds to notice the waiter who's moving between them. He hears snippets of conversation as he passes by. A man talks about an upcoming film premiere, discussing the stars he'll be rubbing elbows with. Another guest mentions how she just made a huge business acquisition. And over by the bar, someone is chatting about their latest vacation to Europe, listing off cities and countries with an air of superiority. None of them look at Tommy, not once. They don't even register that there's someone serving them. It's not that they're rude, just absorbed in their own world. It's a world Tommy has been part of many times before, but tonight he's an outsider. He watches them, but they don't notice him. He moves from table to table, offering drinks, refilling wine glasses, and collecting empty glasses. His movements are practiced, his posture straight. He's not a celebrity tonight. He's just another waiter in a sea of staff, trying to make his way through a night full of pretentious conversations and half-hearted smiles. As Tommy continues through the crowd, he spots the occasional familiar face. A well-known director here, an actress there, but none of them recognize him, either. It's almost like he's invisible. And for the first time in a long while, that feels nice. No one is gawking at him, or whispering his name. He's not the center of attention, not the subject of conversation, he's just another guy doing his job. He overhears a couple of guests talk about him briefly. They're discussing the actor who played the tough no-nonsense character in The Fugitive, a role they loved. They talk about how they'd love to meet him someday. Tommy suppresses a chuckle. If only they knew. Tommy moves through the crowd effortlessly, tray in hand, like a shadow in a sea of glitz and glamour. He stops at one table, offering a glass of champagne to an older gentleman, who looks up briefly, nods his head in polite acknowledgement, and then returns to his conversation. Tommy smiles slightly, then walks away, blending right back into the background. No one is looking at him, no one is paying attention. It's as if he doesn't exist. The irony isn't lost on him. Here he is, a man who's been in some of the most iconic films in Hollywood history, and no one even recognizes him. It's almost too good to be true. He overhears a group of guests gossiping about their favorite actors, discussing the latest blockbuster movies. One woman mentions how much she loves the intense roles that Tommy Lee Jones plays. Another guest chimes in, agreeing that he's a great actor, but they've never actually seen him in person. Tommy continues walking, his tray moving from one hand to the other. The conversations around him are all about the stars they love, but no one seems to realize that the star they're talking about is standing right in front of them. He's just another guy in a tuxedo, carrying drinks. He feels a small chuckle bubbling inside of him. It's funny, no one is even looking at him twice. They're too busy talking about other actors, other events. One guest even mentions how they wish they could meet someone famous, but then quickly forgets about it. Tommy is right there, only feet away, and they don't notice a thing. It's a strange kind of freedom, this invisibility. No one is treating him like the actor they see on the big screen. No one is asking for photos. No one is asking for autographs. He's free to observe the event, to blend into the background, and to enjoy a night where he's not the focus. He moves from one table to the next, continuing his job as a waiter. No one even glances up at him. The night continues, and Tommy Lee Jones, the famous actor, is just another guy with a tray. It's late in the evening now, and the gala is in full swing. The guests have loosened up, the conversation's more animated, and the air is filled with laughter and clinking glasses. Tommy has settled into his role as a waiter so easily that it almost feels natural. His tray is full again, this time with sparkling water and more glasses of champagne, and he moves through the crowd with his usual quiet grace. But then something happens. Tommy passes by a table near the back of the room, and as he offers a glass of champagne to a middle-aged woman, he notices something. The woman stops mid-sentence, her eyes widening as she looks at him. At first Tommy thinks it's just another guest staring blankly, but then he notices the shift in her expression. It's not the usual indifference. No, there's something there, a flicker of recognition. Her eyes linger on him, like she's trying to place him. Tommy freezes for a second, unsure of what to do. He continues holding the tray, waiting for her to say something. The woman tilts her head slightly, narrowing her eyes. It's the first time anyone has given him more than a passing glance all night. I know you, she says slowly, her voice almost unsure. Her gaze doesn't waver from his face, and Tommy can see her mind racing, trying to make the connection. She looks around at the others at the table, her voice dropping to a near whisper. You're Tommy Lee Jones, aren't you? For a split second, Tommy feels a rush of recognition too. He recognizes the shift in her expression, the disbelief in her voice, and the sudden realization that she's been talking to one of the most famous actors in the room without knowing it. He smiles, but it's a small, quiet smile, one that doesn't give too much away. I don't know what you're talking about, he replies with a casual shrug, trying to keep up the act. The woman stares at him, her mouth opening and closing as if she's about to say something more, but then she falters, unsure. She takes a step closer, her eyes still fixed on him. You're definitely him, she says with more confidence now. You were in The Fugitive, and No Country for Old Men. Oh my God, I can't believe I didn't recognize you earlier. Tommy's expression softens, and he looks around the table to see the guests at the table starting to notice the exchange. They're all looking at him now, some of them with wide eyes, others with disbelief. The woman's voice has now raised slightly, and more heads are turning in his direction. It's a moment that stretches out for what feels like an eternity. Tommy's heart rate picks up slightly, but he forces himself to remain calm. This was bound to happen at some point. He'd spent the entire evening pretending to be just another guy, and now, for the first time, someone had cracked the disguise. But instead of stepping away or breaking the spell, Tommy stands tall, still holding the tray of drinks. He gives them all a small, amused smile. Well, he says quietly, I suppose you've caught me. The woman who recognized Tommy can't hide her excitement. She's almost in shock, her hands trembling slightly as she places her glass on the table. I can't believe it's really you, she says again, her voice filled with disbelief. The guests at the table are looking at Tommy now, some with wide eyes, others leaning in, trying to figure out if they've been talking to a celebrity all night. Tommy takes a small step back, but his expression remains calm and collected. He places the tray down on a nearby table, and for the first time all night, he allows himself to truly look at the guests. They're all trying to process the fact that they've been sitting right next to a Hollywood legend without even realizing it. The woman who recognized him is still staring at him, a mix of awe and embarrassment on her face. She lowers her voice, leaning in slightly as if to make the moment feel more intimate. I had no idea, she says. You were just so normal. You blended right in. Tommy chuckles softly, giving her a warm, almost reassuring smile. That was the point, he says in a low voice. Sometimes it's nice to just be normal. The guests around the table laugh nervously, unsure of what to say next. One of the men leans forward, a bit bolder now that the cat's out of the bag. You know, he says, his tone a little more casual, I saw you in No Country for Old Men. Man, you were intense in that role. I thought you were terrifying. Tommy raises an eyebrow, still smiling. Yeah, well, the character was terrifying. It's all in the script and the performance. The conversation shifts slightly, with the guests asking more questions, and Tommy indulging them just enough to keep things light and easy. But he doesn't let the attention get to him. He's not here to bask in the spotlight. He's still the same guy who just wanted to blend into the crowd for a while. One of the women at the table asks, what made you decide to come to the gala like this? I mean, you could have easily come in as a guest. Why the disguise? Tommy takes a moment, the question sinking in. He looks around the room briefly, his eyes scanning the tables filled with rich, powerful people, all of them enjoying the extravagance of the evening. I just wanted to experience it differently, he says thoughtfully. To see what it's like to be on the other side for a change. No cameras, no fans, just a regular night. Another guest laughs, I think you've succeeded. We had no idea who you were until now. Tommy shrugs with a small smile, almost as if the evening has been a personal experiment that went better than expected. It's been fun. Sometimes it's nice to just not be recognized. The woman who recognized him leans back in her chair, her smile fading slightly as she takes it all in. Well, now that we know who you are, you should come join us for a drink. It's the least we can do. Tommy shakes his head lightly, a playful glint in his eyes. I'm afraid I'm still on the clock. I'll leave the drinks to the professionals. With a smile and a polite nod, Tommy picks up his tray again, and continues on his way, blending back into the crowd. But this time, as he walks through the room, he can feel the eyes following him, more than just the waitstaff noticing him now, and he's perfectly fine with that. Tommy Lee Jones walks through the gala once more, his tray steady in his hands. The atmosphere has shifted slightly since the moment of recognition. Some guests are still talking about him, but now it's different. He's no longer just the anonymous waiter. He's Tommy Lee Jones, the actor they've admired from afar, and yet, in this moment, he's still just one of the many people working behind the scenes. The guests at the tables watch him pass by with curious glances. Some whisper to each other, still in disbelief that they've shared the evening with him without realizing who he was. But Tommy doesn't let it bother him. He carries on with his task, moving through the crowd, like he's done all night, offering drinks, refilling glasses, and collecting empty plates. His steps are quiet, purposeful, and unhurried. He doesn't need the attention. As the night wears on, Tommy remains just another waiter, serving food and drinks to people who are now a little more aware of his presence, but still treat him like any other staff member. He watches the gala continue, people laughing, dancing, enjoying themselves, unaware of the small moment of excitement that passed between him and those who figured out his identity. He could have easily stayed and chatted with the guests who recognized him, accepted a drink, maybe even spent the rest of the evening enjoying the limelight, but he doesn't. Instead, he stays in the background, serving the drinks, collecting the empty glasses, and making sure everything runs smoothly. For once, he's not interested in the spotlight. He's just happy to blend in, to have the night to himself, unnoticed by the majority. Tommy Lee Jones, the man who's often surrounded by cameras, fame, and adoring fans, walks through the gala as if he's nobody special. The event continues around him, loud and lively, but for Tommy it's a quiet victory, a night where he's finally been able to take a break from being a star, and experience the simple pleasure of being invisible, just for a while. And with that, the night carries on, and Tommy blends back into the crowd, still just another face in the sea of waiters.